Hi, folks. Welcome to the Seven Figure Network podcast. I am so happy you're here today because today I have Casey Call on with me. Casey is a very interesting guy because he's not only participated in the network marketing industry, but he's put together products, he's done training, he's done entrepreneurship on a bunch of different angles, even affiliate marketing stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to have Casey on today. He has figured out so many different ways to utilize networking to make money, to figure out how to bring freedom businesses into his life. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking to him. I want him to tell his own story because there's no way I'm going to impassion his story like he does. So Casey, thanks so much for being on the show today. I'm so glad you're here, man.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure and I'm honored. Honestly, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So, I don't even want to ruin your story by telling it. So if you don't mind, tell me what actually drove you into the network marketing industry first, and then we'll extrapolate and talk about product production and affiliate marketing and everything else. But what actually got you involved in network marketing?
Well, I had an experience with my family in a traditional business. My dad owned a Culligan franchise, and he said, someday you're going to own that, son. So I was the water boy. I was delivering water to people's houses. I was helping them with filtration systems in their homes. And I was basically doing everything that there was to help run a small business, a small family business. And my dad, when it came to the details of whether or not I would own a part of that business and how that would happen, he just couldn't give me a straight answer, which was fine. But I knew that I wanted to do more. I wanted to become more. And I had a friend that was always really successful. No matter what he did, it seemed to work out for him. And, so I wanted a piece of that American dream. I wanted to be able to follow in someone's footsteps that was getting the results that I really wanted. And so I went to work with him at a company called, way back, it was called Prepaid Legal. And I got started. It was a 26-year-old company when I got started. And, they were publicly traded. So they had a whole bunch of success stories, but by industry standards, you would say, oh, the ship has already left on that one. It's no longer a real opportunity. The new shiny object is old and withered now. And I actually ended up climbing into the top 20 spots inside that company, which was really exciting for me. And I built a team of about 50,000 people, and I was really pleased with my progress. And I went to a second company after that company was bought out by a private equity firm, and it was hurting the commissions of some of the people in my team. And my commissions went up, but theirs went down, and that really bothered me. Yeah. And I realized things weren't going to change, so I had to look for something else. And I got introduced to a skincare company called Secret out of Scottsdale, Arizona. And we helped to build that company from zero to about 190 million in a few years. And I made millions of dollars there. So that went really, really well. But I didn't do what a lot of people did to build my team. I built it all organically. I built it out in the field, out in the houses, face to face with other folks, and really finding out about what their dreams were and where they wanted to go. And there's a few basic principles that I like to follow when it comes to building and being able to build organically, because I think a lot of people get this impression that, oh gosh, I need to become an Instagram genius and I need to be able to be a social network master. And it's good. Yeah. You want to start down that path. You want to learn all the tools of your skill and skills of your trade. But what it really comes down to is a saying that was developed a long time before network marketing ever became a thing. And that is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And what does that mean? Does that mean you're one of the privileged and, you're part of your parents were part of the country club? No, I think what it means is you can get to know anybody. And that's what I figured out. I figured out that I could get to know anybody. I could find out about what's important to other people, help them get it, regardless of what it is, whether they're looking for a good Italian restaurant or they want to change their life. Yeah. I just need to get to know them and how I can serve them in whatever way possible. Even if it doesn't appear that there's some direct outcome for me that's going to propel my career forward. It's just the mentality, the idea of that the law of sowing and reaping is a real thing. It actually works. And I found out that it does. And I found out even after I had sold my businesses and I went into the consulting side of network marketing, that it was even more true in every traditional business. Just find some way to serve those people. And then if they're looking, here's a great question I ask people all the time. Who's a great referral for you? Like, if I had to send you the perfect client, the perfect customer, who would that be? What would they look like? What would they sound like? What would they dress like? Where would I find them? And quite often, I end up knowing exactly that person. I instantly connect those two people, and they're so gratified that I would do that for them, that they always want to find some way to reciprocate. Now, I'm not looking for that right off the bat, but man, it's amazing how that comes back to you.
Yeah, it's human nature. Reciprocity. It just happens. I apologize for breaking in, but you said two things here that I ask you about.
Oh yeah.
First and foremost, you mentioned the fact that it's everything is about the network you get into. And it's funny because, that the reason we call this podcast, the 7-Figure Network Podcast, is not that we're forcing you to make 7 figures in network marketing. We'd love it if you can, but we want you to learn that putting yourself in the right network, that's where the 7 figures comes from. Putting yourselves in a 7-figure network is what allows you to do it, whether that's your goal or not. So that was one thing I wanted to mention. And number two is how deeply you go into their avatar. Dude, that was amazing. It's people know the term avatar. They fill out avatar sheets, who's your perfect client. But the way you asked those questions was fantastic. Is that how you were always going about qualifying folks for your team? Or is that something you've learned over all these years, that this is my way of helping somebody drill to that perfect customer?
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And then let's just say, as an example, of if you came into my team and I sat down and I was making the proverbial names list with you, I want to hear the stories about the people. I don't want to know Bob the dentist, Joe the football player, whatever. I want to hear the stories about those people. How do you know them? Tell me more. Get to know what kinds of people these people are. And over time, you're going to develop the skill of recognizing talent from afar. And you can say, oh, well, that's the person I need to get in touch with. We need to meet them right away. And then because they're obviously a person of influence, or they're a very likable person, or they're someone who, you understand, they have more to contribute. And I can go to those people and even faster find out how I can serve them where they want to go. But finding out where people want to go, hardly anybody ever asks it. Think about, when's the last time someone asked you, where do you want to go? Is there any way I can help you get there? No. No one asks that question, but it's such a great question. It's so valuable, right? So anyway.
Man, that's the power of it. And that's why I love when you and I talk, because we both get so amped up because we're so amped up, not only where this industry's been, but the trajectory it's going on. And what you just said typifies our mantra, if you will, of, you're never going to build your business by spamming friends, spamming Facebook, and spamming your family. You need to know who you're going to serve best. And you just encapsulated it so perfectly in the way you said that. Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth, as always. That's why I love talking to you. Hey, so let's talk about what's going on with the world today. And, I don't want to get political. I don't want to get depressing, nothing like that. But, I know you've got your fingers in a lot of stuff to do with this industry. So over these last couple of years, what's been your secret? What have you been teaching folks over these last couple of years to make it so they can keep going like this? Because, some folks in the industry did amazing the last couple of years. Some folks plateaued. Some people dropped off like a rock and ended up getting day jobs. So what was your secret over these last couple of years to keep, both, your clients that you're helping and your own businesses? What have you done over these last couple of years to keep everything growing in the right direction?
I guess perspective is probably the word. Perspective. You need to have perspective about what's happening in this world right now. In November, 4.5 million people quit their job. In November, 4.5 million people quit their job, and they don't look like they're going to come back. Right? Excuse me, I had a call come through. So it doesn't look like those jobs are going to come back. And that number is continually increasing. People are looking, it's like they kind of woke up like Neo and they realize they're in this pod and that there's this yucky juice flowing off of them, and that's the job they've been told was going to help them get to retirement. It's the education they thought was going to be worth something. And now they're waking up to the idea that, holy smokes, I live in this land of opportunity. I live in this place where I can become anything I want, and I'm doing nothing about it. And so now you're seeing people start to take control of their lives. And you know what a lot of them need is somebody to come along and say, hey, guess what? I know some really successful people who were right where you are right now, just about a year ago, just about 2 years ago, whatever it is. You need to meet these people. Holy smokes. I'm so impressed with the direction that they're heading. I mean, it's so simple. And then you can accelerate that person who's, just trying to leave the pod and accelerate their success to the life where they really want to go. But when you think about the amount of people, you got to have perspective and understand what's going through the minds of everyone around you right now. There's confusion, there's division. Give people a nice guiding light that is truthful. Do not lie to people. Look, network marketing is so full of hyperbole and people making up numbers. Usually you can take whatever number they said, divide by 2, and that's closer to reality, whatever it is in terms of how fast it was done or how big it got. That's usually the case. But if you tell the truth to people, here's another one, guys. Here's a big one. If I could I know we just got a limited amount of time, but look.
Oh, please.
Say, hey, just say what you mean and then mean what you say. Do you know think about how few people say, hey, I'll call you back, and they never call you back. Think about how few people answer your email in a timely manner, answer your text message in a timely manner. Here's the key to success. Don't be one of those stupid people.
Yeah. Amen.
Be responsible. Be professional. How about that word? Professional. What a great word for a profession. So honorable as helping people succeed. Man, if you tell them, I'm going to help you, I'm going to do everything I can to help you succeed, boy, you better mean it. And they're going to smell it on you. And before too long, if you were lying, it's going to rot to high heaven and everybody's going to smell it. Just do what you say you're going to do. And be on time and authentic about your words. I think those are pretty critical things.
You just made a perfect point, and it's funny because it's something that keeps coming up in podcast after podcast is that due to the great resignation, due to, exactly what you're talking about, loss of jobs, people choosing to be out of jobs, we really now have a very diametrically opposed group of people coming into network marketing. For 75 years, it's been, typically the person who's looking for either a side hustle or looking to replace their spouse's income. This is their first job. We sort of knew who those folks were. Now we have this amazing new group of people that have joined us that are, possibly executives, possibly, have had jobs their whole lives, possibly owned a company, but now want the freedom of network marketing, now don't want to show up to an office anymore. So your idea of professionalism, and again, I'm asking this as a question, do you think the industry is changing fast enough to welcome in these people? Because now with this new level of professionals that are coming in, they're not going to want to do the whole, I hope I spam people for 6 months and survive thing. They want a real way of doing this. So do you think the market or the industry is keeping up with these new folks?
I think that people in general are going to pretty much always be the same kind of people. Our industry, our environment is changing, and there will always be some small innovations that will change the game for the better. I don't know if I can answer your question entirely, but the basic things that helped me get to where I want to go, they're just not going to change. And the way to make it enjoyable, which is kind of part of what you're asking, is this, in my opinion, is this. So Melford, what is it that you enjoy? What do you really want to learn about? What do you want to know about? What's a topic for you that's
Yeah, for me, it's always been how to get more freedom in my life, how to spend more time with my family, how to be able to truly not feel like I'm locked into a job, yet get paid the amount that I feel like I'm worth.
What about woodworking, or just give me some like something outside of your area?
Okay. Well, my dad was mechanics. Let's choose that.
Mechanics.
Yeah.
So you actually like to work on old cars and that kind of
I
stuff.
do. I love cars. I love the whole package.
Okay.
I don't like working with my hands for a living, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I was talking to my dad last night about restoring a '68 Camaro. And
nice.
And I haven't had grease under my fingernails for a while, but I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. I really love it. But so here's what I would say. Okay, Milford, you want to grow a big business, but you also like to work on cars. Okay, so did you know, Milford, that in your local market, there's a swap meet going on every Sunday at a drive-in, where they have drive-in movies. There's swap meets, and you can look it up online. You can find them all over the place. And you know how many people there share that same enthusiasm about working on old cars and selling car parts. They're all over. Furthermore, a lot of them are there because they want to earn some extra money selling some of these car parts that they bought somewhere else, or they've got out of a wreck or a junkyard or whatever. They're trying to hustle. What a great way for you to do what you love, learn more about what you want to learn, and you get to recruit people. And you get to open up new doors to other people there. How cool is that? So you take that and you can say, I like fly fishing. Great. There's fly fishing seminars going on around town. Mm-hmm. You can wander down to the local fishing hole with an app that shows you where all the fishing holes are. Find fishermen fishing right now. Ask them how it's going. Talk to them. What do you do for a living? And man, you're off to the races. Yeah. So and you get to do what you love. So people, a lot of times they dread this idea. Oh, I got to call these people. I gotta, and they start coming apart at the seams. You're approaching it all in the wrong way. Go in there with the idea of enjoying the time. And man, I'll tell you, your results will skyrocket as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, when you start that way, then when you're in the line at the grocery store, it just starts coming natural.
Yeah. No, that's so good. And you doing that off the cuff like that, fantastic. That was great. I loved it. So let's flip flop. So we went from recruiting and how to do that properly. Let's talk about retention for a minute, because obviously that's the name of this game. The name of every game. It's everybody knows that the most expensive client is getting a new one. Retaining your old clients is the cheapest way to run any business. I don't care if you're selling tires or pills or houses or whatever. Retaining old clients is the key to success. So what have been some of your secrets? And again, let's talk in two different ways. Let's go back 10 years ago, when things were ripping, when everybody was making money hand over fist. We were all just printing money and life was great. And then let's fast forward to 2 years ago, where we all got slapped in the face with how we're going to do our lives now. So 10 years ago, what was your retention strategy, and what has changed over these last couple of years?
Well, okay. So I'm going to start with saying this. The retention strategy, what a lot of people think about is, how can I make them stay longer? And that's an external question. Mm-hmm. You can't really change people much. You can change them a little. You can influence them. You can help them along. You can help them to see things in a new light. But what you need to change the most is you. Mm-hmm. If you are the example, if you are, as Mahatma Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see in the world. Mm-hmm. If you show up, if you're consistent, if you do things that in the terms of being excellent. You don't show up to the Zoom, you become the Zoom. Okay, you take the role that you want to be in. That's how retention comes around. That will never change. I don't think people have changed that much in the last 10 years. I really don't.
I agree.
I think that the philosophy is that you have to be able to bring value to people. And to the degree that you can bring value to people on an ongoing basis, and to the degree they feel your loyalty to them and their family, and that you understand what they want, not what you want them to do, what they want, not what you want them to do, then you're in great shape. Then all of a sudden things start to change for you. You're going to retain more and more people because they'll believe in you. They will trust you. They'll understand that you are looking out for their best interest. Retention is about trust. even if they haven't made it yet. I mean, it took me so long to get to where I was just making $100,000 a year consistently. And then to get to $200,000 a year was like a blink of an eye. And then to get to $750,000 a year, it was like a snap of my fingers. It went so fast, and it was because I had learned all the skills over time. And kind of every day, what I would do is I'd wake up and I'd say to myself, if I had to do this all over again, what would I do? If I could just start over right now, what would I do? What, based on the mistakes I've made, the people I've seen that have had success, the man I want to become, what would I do to make things, you get the idea. So that refreshing kind of point of view, that's going to make you someone that people want to follow. They want to stay with you. And if they understand that sincerity, and if it really is sincere for you, that you do care about people, and you understand that if I take care of them, I'll have everything I want, man, then the sky's the limits for you. You know, I heard this great thing. It was like a TikTok wisdom thing I saw the other day. It was pretty cool. And I lived my life by it. And I just saw someone put it out really eloquently. And it was how they were talking to Navy SEALs. And they were asking them, you know, how do you rate your partners? Have you seen this one?
No.
So how do you rate your fellow servicemen? It was so great. And I love these. I love war movies and stuff, and I love what our servicemen do for us. And I just, you know, it gets me. So when I hear them talk, they have a graph, and one of the graphs is the trust line, and the other graph is the competency line. Okay. Meaning that if you're the most competent Navy SEAL, you could kill everybody and, you know, sneak in and out and in total silence and all that stuff. But when the Navy SEALs are thinking about the people they want around them, they say, okay, I trust you in battle, but would I trust you with my money and my wife? And they have to look at both of those lines, and they would rather have somebody that is medium at competency level, but very, very high on the trust level. So meaning if you had super high competency, the very highest you could be, you're the Michael Jordan of whatever you do, but you are untrustworthy, you're built on sand, you'll go nowhere. You make one mistake that is a moral mistake, and especially if you don't we're all human, we make mistakes. But if you don't own up to it, people no longer will trust you. They won't follow you. They won't believe in anything that you say, based on that one thing. But if you can be morally great, and you can have the proficiency. If you're at a 10 in both of those areas, there's nothing can stop you. But I'll tell you what, if you're a 10 in the trust and you're a 5 in competency, you're not that good looking. You're not that eloquent. You don't speak very good on stage. You know, if you're trustworthy and people believe in you, they'll follow you to the ends of the earth anyway. So you don't have to be a smart man like me.
No, I love it, man. I love where you and I go with every conversation. It's fantastic. Hey, well, you know, we were just talking about American soldiers. So let's again flip the coin a little bit. International growth. How have you tailored your international growth? Have you known people in other countries? Have you met people here? Have you actually built that? I know I didn't ask you this question, so I'm kind of pulling out of the blue here. How was international growth for you, prior to, the madness that we've had over the last couple of years?
Well, when I was in prepaid legal, we were dying to be able to go build somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And when they opened up Canada, that was a big deal, but we couldn't because, it's about American legal system. So it didn't really translate to a global type of business. Mm-hmm. But when I got to the skincare company, I was like, oh boy, we could go everywhere. Oh, this is going to be great. And I helped open 7 different countries through that process. I was so excited to do it. And I was so excited I could do it. And so was everybody else around me, that we didn't really stop to think very long if I should. And so, what happens a lot of times is you end up in a place where you think that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Oh, if I could just be the first one in Korea. Oh, yeah. If I could be the first one in Australia. Oh, Mexico. I know so many people Latin descent. I could just kill it. Look, build your backyard. Build right where you live, right in your backyard. I built my whole business in prepaid legal in the United States, but at least 3/4 of it was in Washington State where I was at.
Wow.
I mean, it was right in my backyard. And and I made millions of dollars that way. So I would just say, look, it always seems shiny, but extending yourself out, you have to recognize that you're running into cultural differences. You're running into massive expense, and you're all, in terms of travel, you're talking about also being on conference calls at, all day long, American time, and then through the night over in Asia or wherever else. I'm just telling you, it sounds attractive, but the best thing you could do in terms of going to those other countries is find someone that's let's just say you're going to Germany, find some Germans that live near you. Go recruit those Germans into the business and let them bring their family. And when a leader pops up, you can work with that leader. And once that leader has expanded and taken off and they've created a nice start to their business, then you can start thinking about, okay, I'm going to go over there to Germany. I'm going to support my people in person instead of just on a Zoom call, etc. But really, it's the same as everything else. You're just we used to run stuff all the time where we'd say, hey, who do you know who's a single mom? And it's the same thing as asking, who do you know who's from Australia or would know someone from Australia? All you're really doing is zeroing in and targeting a specific group, a specific kind of person. Who do you know who's a veteran, that served our country and deserves some help up, and then just zero in on that group of people, and they'll show up. You get what you focus on. Yeah.
So international actually worked out really well for you guys, but you learned because and obviously the reason I'm asking this is because right now the whole hubbub is international. Everybody's saying, oh, Asia.
I made lots of money. I made lots of money internationally, but I have very strong reservations about it because I really think had I just focused more and not been distracted by 7 different countries all over the globe trying to expand and grow the leaders and all that. Hey, look, if I had just stayed with my people local to me, I would have turned into 3 times as much momentum, 3 times as many success stories, instead of starting new lines of business at a smaller size in those international, countries. So in the end, you're just always better to think globally, work locally.
That's a very good way to put it. Beautiful. Hey, have you been working with your wife in the industry? I wasn't sure if you guys actually worked the business together.
No, I'm divorced from the woman I built with before, but I if you want to ask some questions about that, I can definitely help. Whatever you have in mind.
But because I interview so many folks that say, I started by myself, then my spouse joined me, or my spouse started, then I joined them, and it always seems like there's kind of a weird split between who's going to do what. So you're obviously the guy who does the outreach. I mean, you're just a master enroller. Was that always your sort of end of the business, or do you prefer to do the systems end as well?
And let me make this clear. I was never what I would consider a master enroller. I really wouldn't. In my first company, I recruited 90 people total in 13 years.
Huh? Wow.
In my second company, I recruited 120 in about 4.5 years. So I was never a master. What I was very, very good at is working through all those people to find the people that they knew who were fantastic and help them find the people that they know. I was great at drilling down and finding leaders and focusing on them and helping them grow. But in terms of working together with your spouse, in terms of working to make things happen, there's a certain amount of it that is that's just organic. You kind of just have to find your way there together, and it can be tricky. It can be dangerous too. I mean, I was in a relationship for 15 years, and that relationship, we worked side by side in network marketing. I started out and became very successful before she showed up in my life, but she'd never done network marketing, came in, learned it, and she became as good as I was for sure. And she had different skill sets and different talents that she brought to the table, but walking the line together to find out how to separate a personal relationship, your personal life and your sex life and everything else away from the professional life and the professional obligations, it can be tricky, but it also can be really great, because celebrating those things together and your successes, and celebrating when you see one of your new people that you've been working together with to help them grow, and you see them succeed. I mean, it's like watching your children grow up. It's amazing. So it's a double-edged sword for sure. I think you just have to kind of find your way there, and just like identifying what people's skill sets are in your team.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with your spouse.
Yeah.
And it's the same with you, figuring out what you're good at, there's what you think you're good at, and then there's what you are good at. There's what you are comfortable with and what you're uncomfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, wait a second, well, which am I supposed to do? The stuff that's comfortable or uncomfortable? And the truth is, at first you need to do both. You have to do what's comfortable, you have to do what's uncomfortable, so you can figure out what's giving you the best results. And just like everything else, it hurts in the beginning, regardless. You don't know if you're good at it. You don't know how big the muscles are going to get until you've lifted weights for a few, 5-6 months. And then you go, oh, wow, what used to be difficult is now very, very easy.
Yes.
I don't know why I waited so long to do it. And the pain of regret far outweighs the pain of discipline.
Yes.
Doing that simple discipline every day. So, for me, Melford, it's, the regret is the thing that I want to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to be, the number one thing, they interviewed a whole bunch of centenarians. That's what I meant to say. And they asked them, what's your biggest regret? And you know what they said? They regretted that they didn't take enough risks.
Huh.
They didn't take enough chances. They played it too safe.
Huh.
And you think, gosh, you're 100 years old, and and how, oh my God, what a terrible feeling it would be to regret that you didn't try those different things in your life, that you didn't roll the dice on some Tesla stock a few years ago, or that you didn't jump into Bitcoin, or you didn't, try skydiving, or, all the different things that you could do in your life that we only get to have one time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, that's great, man. You mentioned something there as whenever you and I talk, you say something that triggers something on mine. You built so unselfishly. I think that's why you saw the success. Now, hearing that you didn't concentrate on getting a gajillion enrollments for yourself, you concentrated on getting a gajillion enrollments for your folks, allowing them to do the enrollment. Because there's dirty pool in this industry. Sometimes uplines do enrollments, then they want to know, why did you enroll my friend? Oh, I enrolled him because I wanted to, I'll give you the enrollment later sort of deal. I think you had success because you were so unselfish about it. Because you were dying to see, it's you mentioned the fact, it's like your kids. When you see somebody in your team walking across the stage with that big crystal trophy, you feel like your kid just won the prom king or prom queen. It's just amazing.
I've cried buckets of happy tears for people crossing the stage. It's way better than getting your own 6-figure ring or 7-figure ring or whatever. It's way better. It's times a million. It's a great feeling. But I appreciate you saying all those kind words. But I like to think that I was a good example. Mm-hmm. That I've been a good example to people, and that I'm not afraid to point out the warning that I can be as well. Mm-hmm. Because you can be either an example or you can be a warning to people. And so if you take your mistakes and you bring them out front, especially if you get a chance from the front of the room to say something like that, things you're afraid of, if you want to be a good leader, then become a great actor. If you want to be a good leader, become a great actor. But if you want to be an unbelievable leader, just be a good person. Just be honest, be forthright, be transparent, show your fallibilities and your flaws, show that you can overcome mistakes. Tell people what you're afraid of. Everybody's afraid. Mm-hmm. Everybody's afraid. They're afraid to make their first call. They're afraid to cross the stage. They're afraid of making $1 million a year. They're afraid of all kinds of things. Everybody's afraid. Yeah. But if you reveal that and you talk about how you got through it, and also then talk about, hey, look, there's a good thing on the other side of this. Look at the muscles I have now, right? check out my muscles. It hurts so bad, but now my muscles, oh my God, So anyway.
I love it. Hey, man, I want to give the audience a chance to see what you got going on. So first and foremost, before we even go into the next question, I'm going to have your bio in the show notes and your contact information, but some folks are going to be listening to this on their phone. They're not going to see the notes. So what is the best way for folks in the call to contact you directly?
Oh, that's fine. You can call, hit me on Instagram. I'm happy to give an email address if you want, but really Instagram is probably the best place. And it's just K.C.CALL. And you're not going to see, a whole bunch of stories about me bragging about my life. You'll see a bunch of vacations and stuff because I really like to go. I go to Europe every year for about a month and a half with my wife, who's Czech Republic. Yeah. And, but I'm a regular guy. If I can help anybody, I'm happy to help. And look at and I'm always expanding my businesses into other network marketing companies. I help network marketing companies become better with the things that I'm able to offer. Yeah. So if I can make those connections and get in front of those people, there's always something good in it for the person.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Okay. So now the two big questions, because again, I want folks to be able to, if they've heard you and they want to hear what you got going on, I want to know, what is your 6-month goal?
Well, I've got several categories for that, right? I've got my physical goals, my spiritual goals. I'm going to read you the quote. I'm going to just take you off for a second. I want to read you the quote that I wrote to my that I did with my kids. I do a training with my kids every year on goal setting, and I said, transcend who you think you are and become something better. It's a pretty simple thing. Transcend who you think you are. There's a big difference between who you are and who you think you are. But transcend who you think you are to become something better. And the only way to really do that is to evaluate honestly where you are and why you fall down. Mm-hmm. The easiest way is not with a big long story. The easiest way is to say, well, I'm kind of lazy. I've been lazy. Mm-hmm. I don't have very good discipline, or whatever it is that you can, that with some effort you could overcome. But my 6-month goal is to reach $500 million under management in my merchant account business, mm-hmm. and my goal for a year is to a full billion, and then my goal for 5 years is to have 5 billion, and off into the sunset I ride, probably focused more on charitable endeavors and like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So folks,
but then there's muscles, and I want to become the best pickleball player in my age grade. And I could go on and on, but I have lots of goals.
Athletes never stop having goals. That's the one thing. As a competitive athlete, my whole life, I am just nonstop goals. And it's just how it is. So, and you actually answered my second question, because I wanted to ask you what your goal was going to be in 6 years from now, but you already got me there. So this is something I want to make a point of, is that, obviously this is a podcast specifically for folks in network marketing, but a lot of folks have a lot of other things going on. Tell me about your merchant account company, because I know that some folks here are going to need merchant accounts for things. So please, let's hear about it.
Well, I really only handle large companies. And so the smallest I would go is a company that really looks like they're going to take off. They're doing $100,000 a month in revenue. But we have something really special. We have an artificial intelligence software built into what we're doing, so that we can identify fraud, people who are prone to chargebacks and returns, mm-hmm. That are kind of gaming different websites, trying to find ways to get their product for free, and or give a bad rating, and then that way they get the product for free, or whatever way. There's a whole bunch of different ways that people are scamming companies. And so because we have this artificial intelligence software, we're able to identify these people and then keep them out of the way. What this means is it means more commissions for the network marketers. It means more profit, bottom line. And I'm able to add 15 to 20% to the net profit bottom line of a company with the merchant. That makes me really, really proud to do what I do. And it's easy because it's free. It's free to just found money for any company. So all I need to be able to do is compare. I'll just show them, hey, this is what you're paying right now. This is what you're going to pay with me. And then on top of that, you're going to have the chargebacks, returns, and all that other stuff. And then we re-rate the company and make it more and more equitable and favorable for them, the longer they're on with us and continue to have good in good standing. So that's the first thing that I do. And the other thing that I really focus on with companies is I deliver a vitamin spray called Vitamist. And in fact, I got one in my pocket for when I play pickleball later today. Whoops, there it is. And it says, I don't know if we can read it all right, but it's kind of blurry with my app here. But it's a spray. And so instead of putting there you go. Instead of putting it into a pill form, this is adenosine triphosphate. It helps me with my timing and stuff. But we basically can put any kind of a formulation into a spray. And instead of absorbing 10, 15% through a pill, we're able to absorb 90%. So instead of pooping and peeing out most of what you spend your money on, we spray, and it's shareable. So the spray makes it so that it's very efficacious and that it's easy to share, which is great for network marketing. And it just makes me gratified to be able to do that as well. So we're just replacing all the pills that we find out there, nutraceutical companies and network marketing companies that offer those kinds of things. And so as a result of that, I'm passing on commissions to people that are referring me as well.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's
pretty cool.
And knowing the crew that's on here, there's going to be some folks that have been dying to start their own supplement lines. And, that I've already owned my own supplement line. We already own, so many different products. We've always had merchant processing. So to have a connection to the merchant processing world is amazing. So I hope everybody is excited about that. And B, to have a delivery system that works that well is phenomenal. So I guarantee there's going to be some folks out there that are like, all right, I'm glad we talked about network marketing, but thank you for bringing up the merchant account.
Well, what's weird is that a needle in the arm, I didn't know this before, but a needle in the arm is only 85% absorption rate. You would think it would be 100%, right? But it's not. It's actually 85%. And our sprays are 90. So it's better than a needle in the arm. And it actually tastes good. And, you don't have to get a glass of water to take it. It's really nice.
Sounds better than a needle in the arm. So Casey, I so appreciate you being on here today. We got to talk about, that's why I was excited to have you, because I knew we were going to talk about so many different things. And you being in the industry for, the years you've been in, as well as having such a background in entrepreneurship, you always have contrarian ideas how to run this thing. And that's why I love you so much, because, you and I just tend to think so much differently than most other people in this industry. That's why I wanted to have you on today. So folks, again, Casey Call's information will be in the show notes. So please contact him about, growth on his teams, growth with the merchant accounts.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, just
you can whatever you want. You can troll me if you want. It's fine.
Fantastic. Put that invite out there. I love it. So Casey, thanks so much for being on today, man. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you, Milford. Thank you very much. And if I can ever come back on again and talk about something different or whatever you want, let's do it. Let's just get together and have a beer.
I got a feeling that you and I can spend hours together, and people are going to be hanging on every word, because we have done a lot of crazy stuff.
I don't know that we'll be hanging on each other's words, but I don't know how many people want to listen to me. But thank you.
That's great. Hey, thanks so much, bud. Have a great day.
You too.